Hey, I'm Randy and I'm the Cheap Audio Man. Here at the Cheap Audio Man, we don't feel like hi-fi equipment. Speakers, DACs, amps, turntables, AV receivers, cables, streamers. Streaming services should cost more than getting a chemical peel on your face, because nothing makes you pretty like caustic chemicals left on your face for a brief period of time and then scrubbed off. And you have major irritation, but apparently it makes you pretty. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about the best streaming service for you and the best budget streamer for you. Today's sponsors, 5 Finger Larry's 5-volt chargers. And 5 Finger Larry is part of the Zedman Industry family of companies. Chances are you've bought 30 of these, or maybe 300 of these, or they've been included in a variety of products that you've purchased. But you probably can't ever find one when you need one. That's why you need a 5 Finger Larry's 5-volt charger. They're $5. I don't know. It was good right up until the very end, and then I messed it up. All right? So, chances are, if you're my age, or even younger, you probably haven't gone to shop for one of these in a while. This is a compact disc. It was cutting edge technology in the 80s. And guess what? I think they're still pretty awesome. And they're very awesome considering that you can go on eBay and get like, it's pretty sad now, but like 30-year-old CDs for $1 a piece, all right? And you probably didn't go shopping for these either. But ironically, you can go down to your local Walmart and actually buy a vinyl record and a turntable. So, if you're like 20 years old or younger, you probably never went shopping for music, and you probably don't know the pain that all of the older generation shares of going to your local pharmacy when you live in a rural town and flipping through the cassettes, and chances are you got Lionel Richie, you got Huey Lewis the News, and Michael Jackson, and then maybe a smattering of others that never sell. And they're in the big anti-theft frames, plastic frames, so you can't put them in your jacket because apparently people used to steal stuff all the time. Or you go flip through the CDs at Walmart, and again, you're buying a whole cassette or record or CD based on one song that you've heard on the radio, and they knew it, and so they just phoned in the rest of the tracks. There's exceptions, of course, to that rule, but if you're 20 years old or younger, you never felt that, and you never went through that pain because you have streaming services. The irony of all this is that physical media has kind of come full circle, especially with vinyl, and probably CDs. Maybe, I don't know, CDs, but I hope they don't, because I kind of still like buying them deeply discounted from thrift stores or used bookstores. The services we're going to talk about today in broad strokes. We're just going to go over some kind of an overview of each one. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music Unlimited, not to be confused with all the other tiers of music they have, Tidal and Qobuz. I know there's Pandora and there's some other ones out there, but for today's video, we're concentrating on those. We're also going to talk about the hardware that you need to stream it. So we're going to talk about a Raspberry Pi. We're going to talk about the Andover Songbird. We're going to talk about the Amazon Link. And last but not least, ooh, it's kind of heavy, the Bluesound Node 2i, and it's been replaced by the Bluesound Node. I mean, functionally, I think they're exactly the same, though. So that cat's out of the bag, which budget streamers I recommend, and that's going to be a Raspberry Pi running probably Volumio, and that can be had for, I don't know, $75 to $125, depending upon what type of hat you get, or even if you use a hat. And for the purposes of this video, all the streamers are going to be talked about from their streaming functionality, not from their DAC performance, but from their streaming functionality. And all these streamers can be hooked up to an external DAC. So there is a path forward. What is a streamer? To me, this is my personal definition of a streamer. A streamer is a piece of equipment, hardware, whatever you want to call it, that runs software that can independently play music. And when I say independently, I'm talking about it's not Bluetooth and it's not Apple AirPlay or AirPlay 2 or whatever, because with AirPlay you still need two devices. With Bluetooth you still need two devices. With true streaming you need one device and something to control it. And often at times that can be your phone, a tablet, or your voice, and maybe something like a home thing, like a something that rhymes with Stuplexa, or like the Google stuff or whatever it is. Let's talk about Spotify. They are far and away the largest music service out there, with over 158 million paying subscribers, and that doesn't include all the people that listen to it for free. So currently they are streaming in, at a max, 320 kilobits per second. However, they are going lossless, and what lossless means is CD quality, or 1644.1. So 16 is the bit rate, 44.1 is the sample rate. They're not there yet, though. So any day they're going to be going lossless, or sometime this year. They have a huge library. They have a very good algorithm, too, to suggest music based upon the choices that you listen to. And they have the widest adoption of compatible streaming devices. They have what's called Spotify Connect. And Spotify Connect, and some of these devices actually only work on Spotify Connect, is you use the app on your device to control the streamer. It's a very good way to actually implement into a streamer, into the hardware, or into their software, because the streaming company, doesn't have to rewrite an app or make an app that is really not as good as the Spotify app to begin with. Currently, you can get 3 months as an individual for $9.99. You can get a family plan for, $12.99. Or excuse me, you can get two people with a shared playlist for $12.99. Or you can get a family plan with has up to 6 accounts for $15.99, and then you can get some kids apps and stuff like that. You can also get a student plan, which includes, strangely, Showtime and Hulu with ads for $5. So the recommended streamers for Spotify would be, in order of price, lowest to highest, would be a Raspberry Pi running Volumio, because with Volumio, even if you don't buy the premium Volumio plans, you can still get a Spotify Connect plugin for Volumio. It's going to be $75 or something, depending upon what you get. If you get a Raspberry Pi 3, you put a DigiHat on it, it's probably going to be around $110. If you just get a Raspberry Pi 4, that's going to be about $60, $75, depending if you get the case and all that stuff. Then the next tier would be the Andover Songbird. Spotify will play gaplessly on not only Volumio, but also on the Andover Songbird. Next tier up would be, actually, ironically, the Amazon Echo Link. It plays very well with Spotify, and it plays well with voice commands in Spotify. Then finally, it would be the Bluesound Node 2i. So the Pi is $75 to $100. The Songbird is $150. The Link is $200, but it's probably going to go on sale for Prime Days down to $130. And then the Bluesound is $499. I have read that the Spotify Connect feature may not play gaplessly in their lossless formats, and that not all of their library is going to automatically go to the lossless formats. However, Spotify's been doing it for a long time. They're the biggest kid on the block, and they know what they're doing. But just bear in mind, depending upon the hardware that you have and the software that's running on that hardware, you may not get lossless right away when they switch to lossless. Apple Music. Now, I used to be an Apple Music subscriber for, their unlimited music. They have now gone lossless, or 1644.1, or whatever you want to call it. Pretty much the same pricing, $9.99 for an individual. You can get $14.99 for a family, or $5 for a student. Here's the thing, though. It's pretty obvious who Apple is going after, because they don't integrate very well with streamers. What about AirPlay? Well, AirPlay, again, is not really true streaming. You need two devices to do AirPlay. And granted, there are a ton of devices, including Raspberry Pis, that can run AirPlay. It's still not true streaming. Ironically, true streaming with Apple Music can be done on like Sonos, and guess what? Amazon products like the Echo Link, the Echo speakers, any of the Echo stuff. It's kind of interesting that true streaming with Apple Music happens on non-Apple devices. I don't know much about Apple Music anymore. I know that it was very nice. You can get Siri to do whatever you want it to do and play songs like that, but it's pretty obvious that Apple Music is after, I wouldn't say non-audiophiles, but they're after the regular Joe out there, or Jane, that's listening to their headphones or maybe put it into their car via CarPlay. What music streamers would I recommend for Apple Music? Ironically, the Echo Link. It's really about the only thing that I can think of that can actually play Apple Music without two devices. Amazon Music Unlimited, okay? Amazon has always been very complicated with their naming structure because there is an Amazon Music that comes free if you're a Prime member. It's very limited. The bit rate is very low. I think it's 160 kilobits per second. Then they had Amazon Music, or they still do, Amazon Music Unlimited. And Amazon Music Unlimited is very similar to Spotify or Apple Music. Even the pricing structure for a while was similar. Then they had, on top of that, Amazon Music Unlimited HD. Well, thank goodness they eliminated the HD and they just put it together with Music Unlimited. So now everything is lossless. So it plays at the lowest level, 1644.1. They have approximately 16 million paid subscribers for their music service alone. They have a huge library. Everything's streamed in FLAC. The music starts at 1644.1, goes all the way up to 24.192. Now, granted, if you're really looking at it, like less than 10% of the tracks are actually in 24-bit, higher resolutions. But it's out there and it exists. Pricing is the most aggressive out of the bunch. So if you're a Prime member, you can get now Amazon Music Unlimited, which now includes HD, for $8 a month. $15 for a family plan that includes 6 accounts, and I think it's $9.99 if you're not a Prime member, and I don't even know how much it is if you're a family and not a Prime member. Now, here's the interesting thing about Amazon Music. You can actually get Amazon Music Unlimited for one device. So if you have a speaker named, like an Echo speaker, or the Echo Link. And if this is the only device that you're going to stream Amazon Music through, you can get an account for one device for $4. So if you're only using this on your stereo and that's the only place you're listening to it, and you're not going to take it on the road with you or go anywhere else, you can legitimately get access to a cajillion songs all playing in CD quality or better for $48 a year. That's pretty intense. Wait a minute. It's 4 times 12, 40, yeah, $48 a year. That's pretty incredible, right? So if that is something that you're only going to use one device, it's the cheapest way to get lossless. It already is the cheapest way to get lossless music. Now, there is a gotcha. When you're using their desktop app, it doesn't have a good exclusive mode. So when you put it in exclusive mode on your desktop, it doesn't change the bit rate and sample rates of your DAC. It just stays at whatever the computer's set out for the output. So that can be a bit frustrating. Also, when it's streaming, it's limited to 1644.1, which is very strange because their actual piece of hardware that they built for it only works in 1644.1, even though it's supposed to be playing all this high-res music. Now, there is a workaround. Through Play-Fi and Hios, you can get the higher bit and sample rates, but the gotcha to that is none of your playlists pull through when you open up a Hios app or the Play-Fi app, okay? And none of these products I'm talking about work on that platform. Those platforms are integrated into other devices like Marantz and Denon devices and the SVS sound base. Play-Fi is in a lot of things, a lot of speakers and things like that. Streamers I would recommend for Amazon Music is going to be the Andover Songbird 150. It plays 1644.1 Amazon Music on the Songbird. However, it's not gapless. Then I would recommend, obviously, the Amazon Echo Link. It does play gaplessly. And what is gaplessly? It means that if you're listening to a live record, it doesn't pause between the tracks. So one track leads right into the next, which is nice. Echo Link, okay? It's $200 right now, and it's probably going to go on sale on Prime Days down to $130. And then beyond that, again, it's going to be the Bluesound Node 2i, which also plays Amazon Music gaplessly. And the Bluesound platform, software platform, is the best platform besides that of the native Amazon platform to play Amazon Music. It is the only decent platform beyond the Echo Link that plays Amazon Music well. The Songbird plays it fine, but there's gaps in it, and it does pull through your playlists and everything, so it's not terrible. If you're on a budget, look at the Songbird. But I would argue that pay another $50 more and get gapless music, and you get a bunch of other stuff that we're going to talk about. Tidal. Okay, a lot of controversy behind Tidal because they are the only platform that supports MQA, and MQA is the master's quality. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Regardless, Tidal has between 1 to 5 million subscribers because they're very secretive about how many subscribers they have because they've been hemorrhaging money since they pretty much started. And Square, a financial company, just bought Tidal, which makes a lot of sense, right? Anyway, Tidal is implemented into a wide variety of streamers as well. Most of those streamers actually will not do MQA or the masters. The Bluesound Node 2i will do the masters, and it does part of the it's a whole thing, right? Some of it happens there and then it unflows there, and it's a whole thing. Is it worth it? I don't know. That's up to you. If you like MQA, then Tidal's the only game in town. They have 2 tiers of pricing. One is called Premier, but it doesn't play in high fidelity. It doesn't play lossless. So it's like Spotify, and it's priced about the same, like $9 to. I don't even know why anybody would sign up for that through Tidal. Anyway, the actual fancy plans with Tidal are $20 a month for an individual or $30 a month for a family. But the Tidal, one thing they do well is they give a discount to military and first responders. That's $12 a month. They also have a student plan. Tidal is adopting something very similar to Spotify called Tidal Connect. Go figure. That's what they named it. All right. So Tidal Connect works on specific device. What it really does, it eliminates a intermediary application to control Tidal. Now you can control Tidal right from your device or your phone or your tablet, whatever it is, and just connect straight to the streamer. There are a few streamers that support Tidal Connect. I know the Bluesound does. Also, ironically, Volumio supports Tidal Connect, but you have to buy their premium, and that's like $30 a year. Okay, so take that into account if you want to do Tidal Connect on Raspberry Pi. So in order of what I would recommend for streamers, for a budget streamer, again, it would be a Raspberry Pi running Volumio. Then it would be the Andover Songbird at $150. Tidal will work on the Echo Link, but it only works really through voice commands, which is kind of weird. And then the Bluesound Node 2i. And the Bluesound Node 2i is a very good platform for Tidal because it does MQA internal, and I know we're not talking about DACs today, but it will do MQA internal, but it also will pass MQA out. Now, the Songbird, Andover Songbird, will not pass MQA out. Qobuz. Qobuz is another lossless streaming service. They don't have a ton of subscribers. Again, they don't really report it, but north of 200,000 subscribers. The price for that is $15 for an individual, and I think it's like $25 for a family. You can pay an annual plan, and it's a little bit cheaper, like $12.50. They have a big library. Everything's good, but the one thing about Qobuz is it integrates into a lot of streamers, including the Raspberry Pi running Volumio, the Andover Songbird. It will not integrate with Echo Link, but it does integrate with the Bluesound Node 2i. I would be remiss if I did not talk about Roon. Roon by itself is not a music streaming platform. Think about Roon as a bolt-on, and it is not a management software per se, but it's a bolt-on to Qobuz or Tidal. Also integrates any networked music that you may have on a NAS or even on a drive of some sort that you can plug into a device. So Roon is a music immersion software. And it took me a long time to wrap my head around what Roon actually is. But think of it as a way to have somebody handhold you and help you discover music that you may have not listened to or not listened to in a long time. It works off of machine learning named Valence. And I'm going to do a whole video dedicated to Roon, digging deeper into Roon and how to actually build some of the hardware that you need to run Roon properly or run Roon well. Say that 5 times. Run Roon well. Run Roon. I can't even do it twice. So I'm going to have more videos digging into Roon. But my one hiccup with Roon was its pricing structure. Until 2 months ago, they were only an annual subscription service. So now they do monthly at like $12.99 or $12.50 or something. So if you're a big fan of Qobuz or you're a big fan of Tidal, give Roon a hard look because it is fantastic. There's all sorts of functionality, including DSP equalization, room correction, and very good control over your DAC. So it flawlessly takes exclusive control of your DAC. Roon's very good. I'm very impressed with Roon. If you're Tidal or Qobuz, or even if you're thinking about looking at Tidal or Qobuz, take a look at Roon. And we'll get more into it on other videos, but I kind of think it's worth it if you're into music and if you're into exploring different music, learning more about your favorite artists. It's really pretty awesome, and there's literally nothing out there like it. Streamers, my budget recommendation is a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4 running a digital hat. And I'm going to see if I can get this to show up. What is a digital hat, you may ask? It is a hat that you strap onto the top of this board computer that you can get a digital signal out. And on the Raspberry Pi 3, the USB was kind of noisy, or it's been reported that it's noisy, so having a digital hat on top cleans up that digital signal a bit. Then you'd run this into a DAC. Now, you can't plug this into your stereo unless you have a DAC in the stereo. So there are DAC hats. Do I think they sound great? I don't know. I haven't really listened to any, but I prefer having an external DAC. The other products on the table, you can hook them straight up to your stereo and get up and running, but we're not talking about DACs here. For the purpose of this video, the DACs could all be better. These are streaming hardware. We're not talking about the DAC here, okay? But if you want the most cost-effective way, and you have a little bit of technical aptitude, and you maybe have some patience, look at a Raspberry Pi. If you get a Raspberry Pi 4, you probably can go straight out through the USB into a DAC. But if you don't have a DAC, you can still get a DAC hat, and they're not that expensive. If you're not that technologically inclined, I would recommend the Andover, oh, it's not working. There we go. Andover Songbird. Okay, on the back here, you have digital out, digital in, Ethernet network connection, and then you have an analog in via 3.5 millimeter to RCA and a analog out via 3.5 millimeter to RCA. This little device does Bluetooth, AirPlay if you want to do it. It does Tidal, Qobuz, Amazon Music, Spotify, and then like TuneIn Radio and other stuff like that I don't really have any experience with. I forgot to mention for the Raspberry Pi, I personally would choose Volumio, and that is the operating system which you have to download and put on the Raspberry Pi, but it does Bluetooth. It also does AirPlay, Spotify, Qobuz, and Tidal. And then it'll also pick up your network music. So will the Andover Songbird. It'll pick up any network music that you have on the same network that it's on. One of the gotchas with the Andover is that if you digital out of it into a better DAC, it's limited to 48 kilohertz. So you're not going to get super high res music out of it. The Amazon Echo Link. I just did a video on this. I also have done a video on the Andover Songbird. So this is probably the best way to do, it is not the probably, it is the best way to do Amazon Music on a budget. All right. It has Bluetooth. It has a headphone out. It has a subwoofer out. It has a variable frequency high pass filter that you have to get into the app that rhymes with Celexa. That actually sounds like some type of psychiatric medicine. Celexa. Are you down? Are you sad? Try Celexa. It'll make you happy. And maybe forget what your name is every now and again.
Something I found on reference.com. There are several
Alexa, be quiet. Also has an optical out and a coax out. So this will get you going. It has a DAC in it. You can plug it into your system, but long term, I would recommend looking at an external DAC that is better than the internal DAC. It's fine the way it is. This device does Spotify gaplessly. It also does, I think it does Tidal gaplessly, but more importantly, it does Amazon Music HD gaplessly. You are limited to 1644.1, and if you optical out, you again are limited to 48 kilohertz. The Bluesound Node 2i, $500, okay? This is going to handle everything the best, okay? It's got everything you need. It's got Wi-Fi, it's got an optical out, it's got a subwoofer out, it's got a variable high pass and variable low pass filter. It's got some optical ins. It's $500 though, right? So if you're on a budget, you could literally put a whole system together for the price of this. If you want the best app, if you want headphone out, it's going to be a serviceable headphone out. If you are into multiple services, multiple streaming services, the Bluesound's probably the way to go. These other platforms are really limited, with the exception of the Songbird. Songbird really does a lot of different streaming services, but it's limited to the optical out. There's no concessions with the Bluesound Node 2i. You can MQA out of it into an MQA enabled DAC. You can optical out of it in full resolution into another DAC. So really the Bluesound Node 2i is the most polished, the most complete streamer, but it's also twice as expensive as any of the other streamers on the table, and that's retail. I mean, if the Echo Link goes down to $130 and your Amazon Music, probably want to get it. So a lot of information here. The bottom line is everybody wins because there are so many choices. All of them have some benefits and some drawbacks. Which one is right for you is the one that has the most features and benefits that you want to use. I have had the luxury of being able to try out a lot of these different things. And I will say for me personally, I really like now, okay, let me back up. I do like the Raspberry Pis, but I like tinkering around with stuff too. If you don't think that you want to tinker around, or you don't know how to, if your VCR used to blink zeros, Raspberry Pi is probably not the way to go. If you were a bit more technically inclined, you can put a bunch of different stuff. The cool thing about Raspberry Pis too is if you get into Roon, you can do Raspberry Pi Roon endpoints basically for very inexpensive, cheap. It depends on what you want. You want MQA? Tidal is the only place to go. You want high-res music? It's going to be Tidal, Qobuz, or Amazon HD, or Spotify eventually, or Apple Music. If you want the cheapest, it's Amazon HD. It's even cheaper than Spotify, and Spotify's not even lossless. Amazon's really putting a full court press on. They're giving 4 months for free right now. So they're really trying to boost up their subscribers. And Even before they started running this whole, 4 months for free thing and even 3 months for free, they were still gaining more subscribers. They were gaining at a higher rate than Apple Music was gaining subscribers. So if you like what we're doing here, maybe consider subscribing. We have a whole bunch of videos, and actually every one of these devices that I talked about, with maybe the exception of the Raspberry Pi, I've reviewed. You can also become a patron, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we have patron-only Zooms. We get together, we talk about audio. All the questions are answered because there's a lot of smart people and they're way smarter than me. We also have patron-only content. I just put up a video today about the ELAC Unify reference series. You can also, ironically, sign up for Amazon Music. There's a link in the description. Click on the link and you get, I think, 4 months now for free. It used to be 3 months. All my playlists are linked in the description too. The test track playlist, the Satanic Panic, and Leg Warmers. I actually need to put a new playlist on there. I think it's going to be rock ballads. You can also use my links. Most of these are going to be linked in the description. If you click on the link and buy the product, I will get a commission off of it. So, don't binge watch anything. Binge listen through your favorite streaming service, and most of these services, actually all of them, have a try before you buy period. So if you want to try it out for 30 days or 120 days in the case of Amazon, give it a try. See if you like it. So don't binge watch anything. Binge listen through your favorite streaming service and your new favorite budget streamer, and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm that cheap audio man.